So I want to break down victim mentality, victim consciousness, victim identity. So this way you completely understand it, you completely get it, and you're able to assess and to heal this within yourself. So I've talked about this a little bit before. Victim identity always has an out pointing finger. It always is pointing towards a person or a circumstance, and it's saying that thing made me feel this way. That thing oppressed me. That person oppressed me. It needs to have that thing out there. And it's the perfect recipe if you really break it down, because since you're fixated out there, you are not turning inwards to reflect on the energy which you are carrying. So that's what we need to do. That's really what the remedy to victim identity, victim consciousness is turning that gaze back inwards. But here's the trick. Victim identity, victim consciousness is very addictive. You'll notice when you engage in this type of consciousness, this feeling of helplessness is really addictive and comfortable. I'll explain why. You get to be right. You get to be right about pointing the finger out there, and actually people will give you pity. People will give you attention. People will pat you on the back, and it kind of feels comforting. And what it does is it stops you from exploring higher level possibilities, higher level growth. So it's a conservation of energy mechanism. And there's that little payoff of that thing, man, it's that thing. And we fixate, if you notice, you really study this victim identity, it's always fixating. It's fixating. Look, really notice this part in yourself and with other people. There's an inability to let go. It's like an addiction. Inability to let go of that circumstance, that thing usually happened in the past, or that person that hurt them, that wronged them, that oppressed them, that abused them. There's an inability to let that go. It's just stuck. It's fixated. It's an addiction. And you're getting that subtle, low-grade energy from it. It's feeding the inner demon. So I'll give you the litmus test. Now, you have this litmus test. You'll be able to check in with yourself and with other people if they have, or if you have, victim identity, victim consciousness. And it's not bad. It's just become aware of it. So when you become aware of it, you automatically start to integrate, start to heal that. Here's the test. Are you able to see that thing that you're fixating on as it's actually happening for me? It's actually working in my favor. It's actually that thing, which I think is like the worst thing, or that person who I thought really oppressed me or abused me. Can I actually see that happened for me? I know this is tricky. This is very counterintuitive. The mind does not want to do this. Did that thing actually happen for me? Am I able to switch that paradigm? And what you'll notice, and I notice when I study this in myself, is there's a part of me, there's a part of us who, when we hold this victim identity, that's like, no, it happened and it hurt me and they're bad, or the circumstance, it just wasn't fair. And it didn't happen for my favor. It didn't happen for my highest good. That's when you know, when you feel that resistance to holding that thought resonant frequency, that it happened for your highest good, and you actually can't magnetically let that land, it won't resonate, then you know you're holding victim consciousness. And if you watch other people and they can't let that land, hey, maybe this is happening for you. Maybe this is actually teaching you something. Maybe this is actually lifting you into a higher level of consciousness. Maybe this is actually a blessing in disguise. Maybe. And if they can't let that land, there's a part of them that's not ready. And it's not wrong or bad. It's just they're just not ready to open up into that higher paradigm beyond the victim. That's true thriving, true triumph. And that's what we truly want. We want to be in that triumph space. So here's what it'll feel like when you are in true thriving, true triumph. is you'll think about that circumstance, that thing, maybe even traumatize you deep as a child. Or you'll think about that person who maybe really did something that you could kind of objectively say was unfair or, not the nicest thing to do. And you can actually look at that thing and you can take the personalization out of it and you can see the divine design. So you can take a look at it and you can say, oh my God, that was the perfect initiation. That was absolutely perfect for me. And you can actually look at something. This is how you heal trauma at the deepest level. You can actually look at this thing which your personalization, your story, your victim identity has clung to, and you can say, that was the biggest blessing ever. That was the biggest blessing in my life. I am so blessed that happened. I'm so blessed that it happened like that and that it struck a chord that deep within me so that I could develop this ray of consciousness to heal that and crystallize into a higher dimension of being. That was the biggest blessing. And without that, I would not know how to love so deeply. Thank you. If you can let that land, then you will have healed that victim layer. And that takes time. So we're in this together. I'm holding hands with you energetically so that we can let that land and we can let the blessing of that thing which we have potentially put into this place of being like, this is wrong, bad, shouldn't have happened, is not fair, I wish it didn't happen. And we can take that and we can see the lesson. We can see the blessing in disguise that it is really eliciting within us a deeper ray of consciousness, a deeper ray of compassion. So that's it. This is the litmus test. Test in yourself if you can see that it's actually working in your favor, or if part of you is stuck and fixated and is saying, no, I don't want that. I don't want to admit that. I don't want to think that. It's not resonating. It can't resonate with the victim identity because the victim identity doesn't triumph. The thriving, genius self, the limitless self is the one that triumphs. So that's the one that we tune into by letting go of that old paradigm and shedding it to the side and seeing that everything is working in your favor. How else would it be in God's divine design? It's perfect. So I love you, I'm blessing you, and I hope that this victim mentality decoded